Hello and welcome back to Slightly Twisted Female. I'm your host, Brittany Rue. Thanks so much for joining us today. So this has been a planned stream, as you know, from the controversial videos I had released last week, talking about the, historically strained relationship between Black women and white women, with a focus on American Black and white women, because that's really where these sort of dynamics originated, and it seems that they sort of branched out from there. And I wanted to, I opened it up for women, firstly, Black American women, to join me on the stream to offer their perspectives, whether or not, we think that prioritizing female solidarity is possible, whether it's important, whether it can be done, and sort of where to go from here, how to begin to heal some of these generational wounds that have existed and that I think are hurting all of us. So I wanted to welcome Jade to the stream. Thank you so much for being here. And we're going to have a conversation. I had a few other people who were hoping to join, some who I think dropped out. I think it's, again, because it's an emotional topic, there's a lot of nerves. I think some people are nervous to get on, but hopefully if anybody who's listening feels like they want to add their voice, I think about an hour into the conversation, I am going to open it up so if more people want to join. And I know Jade doesn't have forever to stay with us, so we'll get started, and then I'll open up the stream. So thanks so much for being on here with me.
Hey Britt, thank you so much for having me. I'm really just grateful towards you for giving me a voice, because this is something that's been on my mind for a very long time. Let's kind of go over the most recent thing that is in the media. Everybody's mad at Hailey Bieber because she put on brown lipstick.
Oh.
And now they're accusing her of cultural appropriation.
Interesting.
It's gotten too far, ladies. It's gone too far, my loves. As a Black woman, I understand how you feel. I understand feeling like, hey, I can't do anything without being called ghetto, ratchet, low class. And now I see a white woman who, she's probably in her 20s. She's a child compared to me. Who's just putting on some lipstick because she thought it was pretty, and here y'all go, crying and whining that she culturally appropriated. How dare she? She's taking something from you. She can't take anything from you, my dear. You are uniquely beautiful in your own way. Why are we focusing on such trivial, petty things? Why are you allowing the divide to happen? Why are you feeding into this? That is my question for my lovely Black sisters. Of course, I do not lack the empathy, but I would hope and pray that you would look around the state of the world and think that there are more important things to worry about than a white chick's lips. Because it only makes you look crazy.
Well, I just think it's a powerful thing that you just said, that no one can take anything from you. That
you can't. You can't. Nobody can.
Right.
I look at you, you have big, beautiful blue eyes. You have porcelain skin. I look at myself. I've got beautiful, long dreadlocks and big brown eyes. We're different, but we're beautiful.
Right.
Own your own. Stop worrying about what another woman is doing. Embrace yourself. Because all it does, it screams insecurity. That's all it does. And I would hope with all of this talk of Black girl magic and body positivity, that y'all would actually start implementing that into practice. But like you said, there's a lot of generational trauma. There's years of pain. There are things that really need to get talked about if we are going to solve the problem. You can't just finger wag your way out of racism or misogyny. There's some shadow work that needs to be done, my dears. Really needs to be done.
And what do you mean by shadow work? Explain that a little bit.
When I use the term shadow work, me personally, I don't want to speak for everyone, but when I use it, it's looking into the deepest, darkest parts of yourselves, your maladaptions, your pathologies, the things you don't like about yourself, the things that are holding you back, the things that are feeding into negativity, the things that are perpetuating the system, and you know what I mean by the system that we have today, the things that are allowing you to get away from your divinity, the things that are making you insecure, that are not allowing you to really operate at your highest capacity.
Yeah, that's really powerful. I'm gonna real quick play the, because I actually wasn't aware of. I'm not allowed to. Wait, am I allowed to play this? I wasn't aware of the Hailey Bieber controversy. You know, and I want to be clear too. You know, this is in no way is this directed at Black women. No way is this directed, you know, any one group of women. We're across the board. Women are very guilty of doing the legwork of patriarchy and tearing each other down. And by no means is this just about Black women. You know, this.
White women are gonna get their talking to next.
Yeah.
Everybody's got to do the work. You know, I address Black women first because I am a Black woman, but white women are not off the hook either. Everybody's going to have to.
Oops. Sorry. Oops, I didn't mean to play that. All right, real quick, I'm just going to show the video that you were just talking about of Hailey Bieber. I haven't seen it, so this is new to me too.
Fall lip combo, and she's calling it brownie glaze.
Oh, wait.
White women, quick question. What would you do if you couldn't co-opt Black women and Latino women? Because what the fuck is this? I swear to God, if I start seeing...
Sorry, guys. I paused this.
I don't know if you can hear me, Britt, but I can't hear you.
Oh, you can't hear me? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Why is this doing this? Can you hear me now? Here, let me see. If I can respond. Can the chat hear me? Let's see. What did I do? No audio. Oh, you can hear me? Okay, Matilda can hear me. Okay, good.
Nope.
But you still can't hear me? Damn it. Shit. All right, guys, I'm going to pause the stream for 1 second and try to figure out what's going on. Give me one minute. Oh, wait, hold on. I see. Did I do that? Oh, I see. I'm sorry. I accidentally hit. All right, we're back. Sorry about that, guys. Sorry, technical difficulties. We're back.
Are you able to play the video?
Hold on. Let me just rewind it for a minute. So I think it's a good.
I'm gonna fucking commit.
All right, we'll just hold on. We're just gonna start it all the way over.
Bieber just shared her go-to fall lip combo, and she's calling it brownie glaze.
White women, quick question. What would you do if you couldn't co-opt Black women and Latino women? Because what the fuck is this? I swear to God, if I start seeing people call brown lip liners and gloss brownie glazed lips, I'm gonna fucking commit, and I'm running someone fade. Y'all watch one season of fucking Euphoria and think, oh my God, this is so trendy. Where the fuck do you think you got it from? Be for real. It was Black and brown women doing it. It was ghetto, and we were mocked and ridiculed. You know, same top 40 hits run that shit. But now it's a part of your clean girl aesthetic, so you want to rebrand it. Girl, go to hell. If we needed or wanted a rebranding, we'd do it ourselves.
Can you guys hear it?
Think so. Y'all do anything other than give Black and brown people credit for shit. Y'all make my ass itch.
Oh,
so bad.
Hold on. I'm sorry, guys. Can you hear? Were you able to hear the audio? There's no audio. Damn it. Okay. I'm so sorry. We're going to stop. A question. Jay, can you hear me? Why am I having such problems today? Jay, can you hear me? Oh. Why can't I hear you? Oh, good Lord. Why am I having problems? Hello. Jade, can you hear me? I can't hear you now. All right, guys, I'm so sorry. This is such a mess. I'm gonna pause this really quick. All right, sorry, we're back. All right, so one of the questions that the chat has for you, Jade, is if let's see, if you have two black parents.
I do have two black parents.
Yeah, so the answer is yes. Jade has two black parents. Okay, so all right, so we're just gonna finish playing this
Her
video.
go-to fall lip combo, and she's calling it brownie glazed.
White women, quick question. What would you do if you couldn't co-opt black women and Latino women? Because what the fuck is this? I swear to God, if I start seeing people call brown lip liners and gloss brownie glazed lips, I'm gonna fucking commit and I'm running someone fade. Y'all watch one season of fucking Euphoria and think, oh my God, this is so trendy. Where the fuck do you think you got it from? Be for real. It was black and brown women doing it. It was ghetto and we were mocked and ridiculed. You know, same top 40 hits run that shit. But now it's a part of your clean girl aesthetic, so you want to rebrand it. Girl, go to hell. If we needed or wanted a rebranding, we'd do it ourselves. Think so. Y'all will do anything other than give black and brown people credit for shit. Y'all make my ass itch so badly.
Okay, all right. So yeah, that was the video you were talking about. Yeah, that was.
I think it's such a petty thing to worry about in the whole scheme of things when a black man murders a black woman every 5.5, could be 4.8 hours now, the last time I heard about it. Our gestational periods tend to be difficult, so our birth rates often, I'm sorry, not birth rates, a lot of times
Maternal mortality rate. Yeah, black.
Thank you. Mortality. Thank you. That's the word I was looking for. Not yes. COVID decimated so many people's businesses and families. We have so much bigger things to worry about, and y'all are worried about lipstick. And I know why. I don't lack sympathy for it. For a long time, black women have had their femininity ignored and denigrated, especially when you talk about the earlier feminist movement. There's a reason why intersectionality, I mean real intersectionality, Kimberly Crenshaw intersectionality, not this new school thing they have now, but there's a reason why that had to be, because we were often, our femininity was robbed from us, from white people and from black men. So I understand where the anger comes from. But it's so petty on the bigger scheme of things with what's going on in the world. They're talking about food shortages coming. They're talking about all these crazy things that are going to be coming up because of what's happening in Europe. And y'all worried about lips, babies. That's not what the real problem is.
Yeah. And I think at the end of the day, it's all the same exact engineering that causes women to lash out at TERFs, you know, and that causes, you know, these gender ideologues to, you know, dox and harass women like J.K. Rowling, and it's somehow socially and even legally acceptable to show. I guess they did get arrested or whatever, but I don't know what happened. But they showed up at this woman's house. I mean, they've sent her death threats. The level of, you know, vitriolic, violent, you know, spewage that was sent to Sloth Queen, you know, because of her gender critical views. And it's interesting that, you know, these gender ideologues are talking about the biggest threat to them is, you know, male violence, and that's why they must be in female spaces. Then why do you spend so much of your time and energy tearing down women, right? And they just, it seems like by design in general, you know, it's always women, you know, women getting pit against each other and tearing each other down. It's just such, I just wish that we could all see the parallels in these different iterations of what's pretty much the same exact pattern.
And it's so sad because, you know, I know you have worked in the midwife and doula field, and I used to be a sexual assault survivors advocate. And when you do those types of jobs, you really get to see how similar we are. Things like race and socioeconomics don't matter when you're sharing about your essay story. Things like that don't matter when you are trying to make sure that your labor and birth processes go as smoothly as possible. Things like that don't matter.
Right.
And I think part of the problem is we don't talk to each other like this. I know so many people who I'm their only Black female friend. I know so many people that, you know, they only have black friends, they listen to black music. Everything they have to do is blackity black, black, the black, because it feels safe, but it keeps you. It's a double-edged sword. It might keep you safe, but then also you are cheating yourself out of knowing that you are just like other women, but also too, it keeps you divided. And that only serves to benefit men. Let's just keep it real. Right. Okay. Me not liking you because you might be considered to be more of a preference to a certain group of men than I would, that does nothing but benefit him.
They love that.
You have white women who will be sitting there talking about, y'all just need to stop wearing you need to stop wearing your real hair, but it's nappy. Nobody wants you. You know, these
I'm sorry that he prefers white women. That's just what he prefers. You know, I can't. I'm so sorry. You weren't picked. You know? And then, of course, it's those women who get totally thrown under the bus, destroyed, fucked up, and then who, you know what I mean? The women who could have been there to protect her, the women who could have known this man well enough to know what his red flags were and to care about her enough to want to protect her, now aren't going to care. When bad stuff happens. That's what kills
me about a lot of white women who, like, okay, they assume that I'm a liberal, which I am not, okay? They assume that I want to sit there and listen to them cry about BLM and George Floyd and slavery. And I'm telling them, I'm like, look, I didn't know that man. So I don't like to do the trauma porn. I don't like to do the, watching people get killed on film. Please don't assume you know how I vote. Right. And I do not support BLM in any way, shape, or form. Right. And they actually have the audacity to call me names and say that I'm not being loyal to my race because they had sex with a couple of black guys a few times. All of a sudden now.
Oh God! Don't even get me started, yo. Don't even get me started on like.
But, during the whole, racial riot thing that was happening, I had to block several white women that I know because they kept. I'm so sorry, and they kept sending me the George Floyd video, wanting to trauma bond and wanting to talk about it for their own gratification. They weren't doing that for me, because if you cared about me, you would have taken my boundary when I told you stop sending me that shit.
Right. It's for virtue signaling, and that's why I just get confused. It's funny. I just stumbled across, there's some like thread about me on Tumblr that was like, the OP was like, hey, is Brittany Rue from A Slightly Twisted Female racist? I've gone through her, videos, and I was trying to like, I didn't really necessarily see anything that I thought was racist, but I've heard a lot of people saying that, they think that she's racist. And obviously I don't want to support a racist. I couldn't see the whole thread. So I didn't know. And somebody had also told me that it existed. And it's like, you guys, don't you understand? If I really wanted to, like, there's two ways I could go about this, right? I could either sit there and just like, use black women as a prop to show, oh, look how accepting and wonderful I am, and just go along with all of the woke talking points, and everyone would love me and high five me and congratulate me. But I think some of those woke talking points are really hurting black women, and they're hurting women, period.
They are. And first of all, if this person had two brain cells to rub together, they would have just hopped on your channel and made their own assessment about you.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like asking the group what they think and to tell them how to feel. Which is number two. We can't even define racism properly anymore. I'm in my 40s, so I remember hearing my elders talk about actual racism. My stepfather growing up and in the Bronx with a bunch of Italian guys being called the N-word and having rocks being thrown at him. That's real racism. Now you have the definition of racism. Every time you disagree with someone of a different race, you're automatically racist. Anytime you are held accountable for something, whether you did it or not, but most likely you did do it, and if you're of a different race, that's racist. Anytime you challenge someone who's a different color than you, that's racist. It's getting to the point where the definition has been diluted so much that when real racism happens, we can't even identify it.
Well, and at that point, you've got to question. Because it's like, I almost think that the status quo becomes so... And listen, this is actually where that whole... I know where that whole thread is like, is she racist? I can't tell. Because I had written... I had basically written a post basically being like, listen, to Black Americans, in voting patterns and all this stuff, like I said, you vote for who you want, but I think it's time to start looking critically at the Democratic Party, who's been, in power and who has been the party of choice and has had a monopoly on the black vote for such a long time, to the point that they're so comfortable. They're not even working, for anybody. But also, what was the point that I was just going to make? But I was like, they also profit off of you continuing to believe that you're under assault, off of you continuing to believe that you're being victimized so that they can come in and save you. And every time that it gets better, they have to manufacture a new way that you're being oppressed and hurt. Don't you understand how much, if you could just cut that off and just say, you know what? Fuck it. I don't care. I am going to have obstacles in life. There's going to be shit that's going to go. But you know what? I'm just, fuck it. I'm going to build a lane and I'm not going to let anyone stop me or slow me down. And if people secretly have thoughts about me, I have to live like, I've had to go through that and realize, listen, some people are going to just not like me for whatever reason. Some people are going to misunderstand me for whatever reason.
Black, they're not going to like you. Let's just be real, okay? Because you just use the word black, they're going to get mad at you. You can't say anything, which I think is ridiculous because we live in the United States of America. This is one of the most genius places on the planet. We cross-culturally intermingle every day, all the time. So to act like you can't speak on a black issue and I can't speak on a white issue is ridiculous. We affect each other.
Right. We're in this together. We're Americans. And that's why I think when we start to reevaluate how we identify ourselves, if we're identifying ourselves as black women and white women, where our race comes first, how about the fact that we're American women? Or how about the fact that we're women? And also, just for the chat, listen, and I appreciate you guys trying to, stand up for me and have my back. I didn't see the response video, I guess, that, Michonne Teton did about me. But just, listen, no mech hate in the chat, please. Like, it's very upsetting. I'm, like, gonna cry. I'm sorry.
Oh, man. What did I tell you? Listen. I'm going to say this. I really don't care what anybody thinks about me for talking with her. I've had a rough life and I have a lot of healing that I've done and continue to do. I'm tired. I'm tired of the division. I'm tired of the hate. I'm tired of y'all making things worse. Okay? So I stand next to her as a sister. Okay? Me and her, we total opposite. I'm a metalhead. Okay? She loves hip hop. I love me some white boys. She likes the black dudes. We're both from the Northeast originally. We got a lot of differences, but we have a lot of things in common. It's time to work on the healing. And if you don't look at the shadow, all y'all, I don't care if you're black or white. I don't care if your ego's hurt. I don't care if you feel like, well, my ancestors did or didn't do this. It's time to start over from a place of healing. The society is in trouble right now. And y'all worry about lipstick. Y'all worried about your black boyfriend looking at a black girl. Y'all worry about so many stupid things. We have real work to do. I only want to fuck with women who are ready to face that shadow and keep it pushing. I am a woman first. I am an American woman first. Yes. Who happens, yes, to be black. And yes. I'm good with that. And yes, I have 2 black parents. Yes, I'm light-skinned, but I have 2 black parents. Yes. I don't know why y'all think everybody got to be biracial. No, I have 2 black parents, okay? So if you're not about the healing and you want to hate, if your anger is not righteous, I have no space and time for you. That's why I fuck with Brittany. That's why we connected. So if you're ready to drop your ego and you're ready to be sisters, you're ready to get over your fear, you're ready to admit that you feel inadequate next to another woman, that you feel like you're going to lose something, but that you want to change, let's hear it. But all this hate and the fighting, you're just feeding into the loosh. You're feeding into the problem. I don't like seeing you cry like this. I'm not telling you what to do. Cry and get it out because you need to get that energy out.
No, I think
time to do things differently. Okay.
Thank you. That was really beautiful and powerful. And I'm sorry. Like, this is why I just, I don't know. I'm like trying to like keep it together. The reason why it's upsetting is because it just reminds me of. It just reminds me of my best friend who like I lost to all of this. Mm-hmm. And it just sucks because we did everything together. Like we raised our kids together. We got through some of like the hardest times in our life together. Like she was my lifeline. Like she was my rock. She was my sister. And it was like during the election season. It was politics. It was just stupid shit. It was like, so I made fun of, it was literally like the straw that broke the camel's back was I made fun of Nancy Pelosi for wearing kente cloth and like doing this stupid ritual for
pure clownery and pandering.
It was so embarrassing.
That needs to have a talk with themselves.
But I was like, Monet, we used to be able to just talk like openly and honestly about everything and like about like hard stuff and just easily. And then it was like she's like I said, she started dating this guy who was a professor from. I'm sorry that I'm like so upset. I don't think I've like.
You need to grieve the relationship, babe. Don't feel sorry about it because this is so much deeper than just your friendship. This is happening all over, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever really dealt with everyone. So I was like, oh well, whatever, you know, like Monet's just tripping.
You have to grieve it. You have to grieve it. And
she was my best friend.
But she obviously wasn't ready to move forward. You gotta have people in your circle who are ready to move forward. That is my new stand. We can be homegirls if you're ready to move forward. You know, I got two best friends. One's black and one is white. And the white girlfriend, we united because we both love heavy metal like crazy. We met backstage at a Slayer show. I went to a Slayer show when I was like 17. It was so good. Yeah, I've never grown out of it. And for my 40th birthday a couple of years back, she bought me a plane ticket to Sweden because she knows I got a Viking fetish, girlfriend. Okay.
Oh my God.
And a black girlfriend, when I told her, she was surprised. She said, "Really?" And I know why, because she truly doesn't believe that a black woman and a white woman could truly be kin,
right,
to be sisters.
Right.
And she's a good person. Don't get me wrong. I'm not shaming my black friend.
No, it's just these are the messages.
Yeah, this is a negative experience a very valid negative experience that she might have had with white women.
Right.
When white women feel slighted or jealous or intimidated by a woman who happens to be a different color, they tend to turn it over and make it about race. Happened to me recently. Luckily, another white woman stood up for me.
Good.
But, you know, it tends to go there. And, you know, I think there's something to be said when you have been pedestalized by every group of men on the planet.
Right.
And you want to get comfortable in that state.
That's what we were talking about. And I know a lot of white women don't want to give that up. And they don't want to, you know... Again, because it was before, there was a time prior to social media, and, you know, you and I are older, we remember a time where celebrities were handpicked by corporations, you know, and they would pick, like, the one token black girl, like, after enough pressure campaign, you know, they finally had, like, the Naomi Campbell.
She probably wasn't even black most of the time. She was mostly probably going to be biracial.
Right, right. And, you know, now that we've sort of democratized our ability to define celebrities and role models and who we want to look up to, you know, there's not this monopoly. And now we're seeing, you know, so many just beautiful iterations of beauty and of womanhood and of sexuality and femininity and all these things that rad femmes hate, but whatever, you know, and it's, you know, and again, like you said, a lot of white women don't want to come off that pedestal because maybe they feel like that's all that they have. And I've seen it from both ways, and I promise I'll check it all the way around. Like, I don't like seeing women get teared down.
My fellow light-skinned women do the same thing too. It's this whole hierarchical thing that really needs to be squashed. But before we get there, I gotta address rad femmes. I have to.
Go for it, because I already am like on thin ice with them. So at this point,
don't worry, it's not gonna.
No, go ahead. Say what.
You know, I used to frequent the rad femme community because I really, even though I don't sit in their spaces anymore, I still support them because I think that what they're doing is so important. Yes. I really do.
Oh wait, real quick, Jade. I'm sorry, real quick. Somebody said that there's Anja. Is everybody else having a problem with low volume, or is it just Anja? Sorry, I just want to make sure that we're not like. losing all this beautiful insight that you're offering us.
Okay. Can you hear me now? Is this better?
I can hear you just fine, but somebody in the chat said that the volume's low. It doesn't look like it's low, but I just want to double check. If anyone can answer or respond, there's a little bit of a lag, so when I ask, it takes audio is fine. Okay, good. Thanks, Judy C. All right, go ahead, Jade. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
You know, even though I decided to step out of the radical feminist community, I still support them very silently and constantly defending them with people who don't know what they really stand for. But I will say this. Y'all need to do some shadow work too, because I got pretty much, I wouldn't say ran out, but I decided to leave the radical feminist community because apparently, you know, I wear makeup and I have long hair and I wear heels sometimes. And I'm not ashamed of having larger breasts. I'm not ashamed of having, I guess what some people would consider to be conventional femininity. I'm not going to feel bad about that. I'm not.
Yeah.
And you do better trying to educate and ally with us over bashing us. It's just more this division. If you are threatened and intimidated by how another woman looks, that's about you.
Yeah.
That's about you.
No, we still, even in our efforts to liberate women, and we still can't let go of this programming to like attack and try to destroy each other. Like,
the other thing I have to say really quickly is another reason why I left the groups is because I felt they were very racist.
Yeah,
look, Black
I've heard
women
that.
are going to have very similar issues, but we're also going to have different issues because of the men that are our counterparts.
Right. Right.
And whenever I brought those things up, like, hey, white lady, that's not really my experience. Here's mine. I get told that I am wrong and it doesn't matter because liberation. Right. No, white women, understand we have a different dynamic with our men than y'all do with yours. And yes, I'm generalizing. I'm talking about as a collective.
Right.
So yeah, we are going to have a different take on things. And if you really care about, you know, you'll be quiet and try to understand it and ask questions instead of dismissing it and saying, you're just the agent of patriarchy. Maybe as a Black woman, my femininity was torn down and dismissed.
Yes.
For how long? So I want to put on some rouge on my lips because I wasn't even allowed to do that if I was around 100 years ago.
Yes.
Because they would shave our heads and tell us we couldn't wear our hair.
That happened to Vanessa Vokey, and one of the things that made me, and this is, I'm sorry, and I don't even mean to call her out by name, this was also one of the things that made me fucking not be able to stand Lisa Michelle and that whole crew who's just, they're nasty. All of them are nasty. I have like no more sugarcoating for it. They're nasty people. I remember even before I came in, and this woman has spent her entire channel and career just targeting and harassing other women, and it's this like real passive aggressive, nasty kind of just hateful way. She did it to Vanessa Vokey, which again, Vanessa Vokey of all people put herself out there in ways that so many of us are terrified to do, and was just publicly ripped apart by TRAs. And at a time when she was most vulnerable and needed our support the most, you really felt it was that was the time that you're going to go make a strength through femininity video where you basically are attacking her because this young woman, again, so Vanessa Vokey is, you know, has autism, grew up as an autistic child, you know, went through a lot of like tomboy phase where she was really uncomfortable with femininity and had a hard time connecting with her changing and growing body. And then as an adult, went through a period where she got really interested in the control, you know, women's sexuality, how women are you know, desired by men or not desired by men, and I thought you were liberating us. Well, and I'm sorry, again, I love Rad Femmes. I'm Rad Femme aligned. Please, you know, Rad Femmes gave me my platform.
I won't be in their spaces, but they still have my support. And like I said, when I do conservative spaces, which I frequent sometimes, I defend radical feminists.
Yeah.
Because they don't realize they're actually aligned on a lot of things when it comes to gender critical topics. But you know, the fact that, oh my God, they're a conservative and a male, I won't talk to him. He's saying the same exact thing that you are. It's cutting your nose off to spite your face. See, I like allies where I can get them, even if they're strange allies. I take them. I take all the love.
Oh, that was like somebody. I saw another thing too on Tumblr saying they're like, I hate Brittany Rue. She's sitting there and she thanked Matt Walsh, who's like this genocidal and da da da. I couldn't see the rest.
So dramatic.
Okay,
you think some of these people have actually never watched more than a clip on a liberal leaning channel. They've actually never sat through a Matt Walsh episode if they're talking that way.
Bro, literally what she was referring to, I did a thread on Twitter where I was like, hey Matt, I like spoke directly to Matt, and obviously honey catches more flies than vinegar. I was like, Matt, first of all, I want to first and foremost say thank you so much as a mother for all that you've done in, you know, progressing this movement and protecting children. I don't care who it comes from. Children are first. Children before glory. Children before personalities. What matters is that we protect these kids. I said, however, with that being said, I do think that you have a tendency to take a lot of ideas and material from feminists, and you have a reluctance to credit them because I know that you've built a platform on this whole feminism is cancer until you found radical feminism and realized, oh, you're actually a rad fem-aligned man. Whether you want to admit it or not, you are. You know, and it's time for you.
Have to be perfect for you to humanize them. That's another question that I have.
Yeah.
And this goes into the hypocrisy thing. What I've noticed you have received, and I've received this about being a lighter skinned woman, but I noticed you've received a lot of people coming at you and calling you pale and talking about you got stringy hair. And,
I smell like wet dog. That's another one.
You cave beast and all this stuff. And I'm like, really? I'm like, so you really think that bullying somebody is how you are avenging your ancestors? Please make it make sense.
Yeah. It's just passing the buck for more cruelty. And that's why I try to explain. That was my biggest thing for the cultural appropriation. Listen, I understand that on a bigger scale, it's important that we challenge these sort of dominant depictions when they're trivializing or degrading depictions of groups of people. But from me, I feel, and I've seen it, that this concept of cultural appropriation, like we just saw in the video, that was a great example, is really just a thinly veiled way to weaponize and to attack and just degrade and rip apart another group of women. It's just giving people tools to, and it's not really about, you know what I mean? It could have been anything.
It's not about the lipstick. I'm not dumb, so I know it's deeper than the lipstick. It all goes back to how you perceive your femininity and its adjacency to another group of women's femininity. That's really what it is.
Right.
And look, for Black women, it's a sad case because the men who are supposed to create infrastructure for us, protect us, provide for us, tell us we're the most beautiful, create our image on a pedestal, they didn't do that.
Yeah, that's no, and I feel that as a woman, and it's like people are saying, oh, you know, why do you care, or I'm real suspicious of your interest in this, and it's like I don't know how else to explain that as a woman I care about other women. Like,
yeah, it's not that hard to understand. It's really not. But again, this is more projection of their own fears. Look, no woman wants to be told she's less attractive than another woman. I don't care how confident and secure you are. I don't care if you're in a loving relationship. No woman wants to feel that way. And we have two extremes going on right now. We have the one side that's sitting here and pornifying themselves and the OnlyFansings and the big fake butts and the ridiculously clownish fake boobs and lips, you know, and you've got the other side, which, you know, you have the voluntary mastectomies and the going on teens.
Right.
There is a crisis with femininity, and I think the racial divide is just one manifestation of that. We've got to get right with our femininity. We've got to define what femininity is. And it's crazy that people think that femininity just stops at, like, makeup and boobs. Like, is that really all that you see yourself as? You criticize men for seeing you as just your body, but clearly you only see yourself as your body as well.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I've been so sexually degraded, like, since I started this channel by other women, and it's like, unfortunately, that's just par for the course. I've been being sexually degraded since I was like 12. So
relatable. I mean, you remember when you first started developing. You know, I don't know about y'all, but the women in my family, a couple of them, you know, they would make these comments about my budding body, and I was already insecure about it because puberty is a very horrid time. You couldn't pay me to go back, okay?
Right.
So,
Oh my God. Yeah.
and when you turn, you know, when you get to that age where you're old enough to like go to the corner store by yourself or go to the park with your friends, you got grown men objectifying you.
Right,
so,
right.
Yeah.
It almost violently throws you out of childhood. It like violently, you know, throws you out of the innocence and just not having to be aware. And it's so sad when I remember even my daughter, my 5-year-old daughter, my mom told me, she was like, hey, you should start putting a bra on her because, you know, she's like a little bit, she's just like I don't know. She's always been just kind of like a thick little girl. She's not overweight. She's just, I mean, she's a curvier girl. Like I said, you know, she's an half African little girl, you know, and she just already kind of like whatever. And it's so hard for me to admit. But it's like my mom is saying, oh, you know, you should put a little like training bra on her just because, you know, so her body's not showing through. And it's just like, God, how
that's the world
awful.
Unfortunately. And
how
we're
awful.
Not helping matters when we do that to each other. So basically, you call yourself a feminist or a radical feminist, but you are literally doing the same thing that these perverted men are doing. But for some reason, it's okay for you to do it. I don't think so.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and I hear you. Queen, aka Miss Sunkiss, says, you know, she said, I sent a little boy home because he was playing with my son because he made comments about my daughter's behind. I'm so sorry. That's so hard to deal with. And then she said, my daughter, I guess you said okay. Queen, aka Miss Sunkiss, say, I rarely wear a bra, but I'm grown. For my daughter's protection, she has to wear a bra. And no, and listen, it's such a difficult balance because I understand both ways, you know? I just hate that it's like this poor child can't just exist in her body freely, you know, can't just exist. And, you know, with this, we all are forced to be so hyper aware of what we are from such an early age.
So of course you can have conflicts with your femininity having to go through that. Who wouldn't? Because from the jump, it's already seen as weaker, less than, more vulnerable, less valuable, something to hide, something to protect but be ashamed of. So yeah, you would be tripping out about that. So we're already engineered and primed to be, you know, to have some type of maladaptive relationship with our femininity, and then you bring race into it.
Right.
And then you bring men who, again, they're the only ones that stand to benefit from us fighting. Do y'all realize that?
Yeah. They love it. They love it. And like, you know, and right before we got on the stream, Jade and I, you know, we talked for like almost a half an hour. And one things that we were saying is I was like, you know, and I said this before in the comments, I said, I've had men, black men, specifically, you know, particularly black men. Sometimes it's like Hispanic men too, but especially black men will sit there and try to pick me up by degrading black women. Like that's supposed to be. And I said, what's most concerning is not even that not just that they're doing it, which is concerning, but that they're doing it with so much confidence, which leads me to believe that it must be a successful strategy on some women. That must work on some women.
Pathetic to me. You know, I even though I'm a black woman, I'll have dudes saying, I don't mess with the sisters, but you red. For those of you who don't understand hood language, that means I don't like to date black women, but you are of a lighter hue, so you are acceptable to me to put my penis there. We're not doing that.
But then it's not just that, but then it's like, you know, on the one hand, they'll sit there and they'll try to do that. And for women who are foolish enough and who are weak enough in their ego and in their sense of who they are as a woman in this world, will sit there and take that bait and be like, yeah, and again, and then they'll sit there and they'll weaponize it against black women and say, sorry, honey. Sorry, I guess you're just, you know, you're not his preference. Sorry, he prefers white women. I'm sorry that you're mad about that. And then, but I've seen it too, because on the other hand, like I said, I've sat and I've been my boyfriend and his cousins, and the things that they say about white women are vulgar and disgusting and degrading and dehumanizing and humiliating. So don't think that just because you got the little, you know, cheap McDonald's pedestal to step on to, and they give you your little Burger King crown, that now, you know, you're the ruler of the land. It goes both ways, and we're sitting here fighting their battles for them.
If you feel good When you hear another woman being torn down, you have the problem. You are the problem.
Yes.
You know, and it's funny because, you know, these white women who they put on a pedestal get the same black man that black women get, in the words of Cynthia G.
Yeah.
You get the same.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Yes, we sure do.
You know, how many stories have we seen recently of them, you know, taking out, beating their preferences and black women?
Right.
It's a thing, y'all. It's a thing. So, you know, I get it if you feel, you know, and it's more of an attraction to black men. I'm divested, so that's not my thing. And I get it, and that's okay. But you're not special.
No, you're not. And that's why, honestly, and I said this too, you know, my history is actually very culturally mixed. Like my boyfriend in college, my very first boyfriend was like a sort of dark-skinned white. I don't know what he had, but he was white but had just very darker features. And then
spicy white is what I call that. Spicy white.
Yeah, right. And then that was my, like, you know, my first ever boyfriend. And then in college I had a very serious boyfriend who was half Indian, and that's a whole other bag of shit. And then I had, his father was Indian too, so it was like this real paternalistic, like, I loved him. He was like the first person to break my heart. He's brilliant. He's a physician now. He's an anesthesiologist, but he's so complex and mean and all this other stuff, whatever. You know, then my husband is Dominican, and he's about, we did his like DNA. He's like 20% black, like 5 to 10% indigenous, because, you know, the Caribbean, they have a lot of Taino blood.
Yeah.
Because he's Puerto Rican and Dominican, so he's got like the Taino blood from the Puerto Rican side. He's got the, you know, Afro Latino from the Dominican side, and then of course, you know, the Spanish. And then after that, then I was with my daughter's father, who is West African. But no, well, honestly, what really turned me off, and even in that relationship, was honestly being around him and other, just, I don't know if it's skin tone or if it's darker men. It's just, in my experience, it's been darker men who just feel this need to like weaponize me against black women. And what I'm not going to do is sit here and allow you to use me to attack another woman or to degrade another woman, because that's dehumanizing me and it's dehumanizing her. Neither of us are winning in that situation.
And that's something that I've dealt with colorism in the black community. You know, like people, you know, I could be with a just as beautiful, just as worthy, just as amazing dark-skinned woman, and we'll have men, you know, direct the attention to me only. I know what they're doing. And she knows what they're doing, so we don't play into that.
Yeah.
When we talked on the phone, I know I mentioned to you that men like Quincy Jones and Nick Cannon have literally said that sex with white women is a form of reparation.
Yeah.
It's liberty and freedom. How sick is that?
Yeah, so but that's your pride. That's the medal, right? Right, ladies? That's the trophy, right? Like, you really won on that one.
So not only are black men saying that their own women are nothing, but they're now objectifying you and using you as a tool in their fight against white men who really, these men just need to go.
That's what it is. And that's really what, you know, I think it's to weaponize against black women, but first and foremost, it's to weaponize against white men. This is also, you know, make no mistake, as much as men do want to sit here and meddle with women, all this stuff, men have their own issues and their own competition with each other. And understand that males across species are very sexually competitive. Don't think for a minute that this doesn't have a lot to do with, and again, it's this whole thing too, and I've heard it before, where it's almost like defiling white women, because again, they know a lot of white men will say that if once you've been with a black man, I don't want you. I mean, they'll call you, they'll call you mud shark, they'll call you, you know, all kinds of stuff. You can stay over there, you're done. And black men get off on that, because then they're like, oh, well, we're not keeping her anyway, you know, fuck out of here, go back there.
If y'all knew how they spoke about you,
I know,
you would have kind of a crisis in your head. And because I know. And the thing about it that's so sick is we are, as women, are feeding right into their game. This is their game. And if they're so afraid to confront each other, because real men are real men are real men in competition with each other, right. That's a real war. But it's easier to play with us. It's easier. How agreeable your average woman is. They know women are community minded. They know women tend to be collectivist and agreeable. Just want to make everybody happy and feed and cuddle and nurture everyone. So it's much easier to use you than them putting up their dukes to each other.
Right. Oh, absolutely. Again, it's like soft warfare. It's the same thing like China using the TikTok app to, meddle with us. It's soft warfare rather than going out and actually like launching a nuke at somebody. It's a way to just meddle and mess up with stuff. And they love it. And I really do think they get off on, creating white single moms with mixed race kids, because again, they know a lot of these single moms, with a mixed race kid, they know that a black men are going to be like, I'm not touching you with a 10-foot pole. I've seen a lot of the manosphere who said that, like, oh yeah, the most disgusting thing in the world is a single mom with, her half-breed kid. Yeah, you get away from me. You're not coming back over here. And they all love it. They love our suffering.
It just kills me that women have such a conflict and resentment towards their own femininity that they will allow themselves to be used and played. That's where I'm kind of like, okay, ladies, I understand you're hurting. I understand this is difficult for Black women specifically. Imagine what it would feel like to be told you're too dark, your hair is too nappy, your features are too wide, you're too this, you're too that. That hurts.
Yeah.
So that opens up the portal for all this other stuff. So this is why I say you must work on the healing. And it's not an easy process. I'm not going to be able to wave a magic wand. Some people might say, that's coming from a light skin. I don't want to hear it. No, I hear you and I see you.
Yes.
And I get it. But you may not allow yourself to get played anymore, because now it's affecting the whole. You know? And as far as to address white women specifically, have some empathy, please, and try to learn about what we go through. I'm not saying you can't challenge anything, you can't ask questions, you just sit down and shut up. I'm not one of those social justice warrior types. But just try to learn about something that you might not be privy to. I have to educate white women all the time about stuff that goes on in the Black community. And it kind of makes me sad that they don't know anything.
Right.
Because this is still their country. It is not just the Black community, just the white. We're America. You see what's happening with these crime rates. So what's happening in inner city is now bleeding out into other neighborhoods.
Right.
If you're shocked, it's because you haven't been paying attention, and that's on you.
And it's a lot of, even me. I mean, like I said, we were talking about this too, how much music has like shaped us from a young age. The first tape I ever had, it was literally a cassette tape, was Puff Daddy and the Family, No Way Out, and that shit like rocked my world. It really did. I was like in second grade.
Mine was Metallica and Justice for All. So there you go.
Exactly. There you go. Oh my God. When I learned to play the drums, that was like that was the album that my drum teacher taught me on. It was a really good album. But my first concert I ever went to was Lauryn Hill when I was in 5th grade. My dad,
she was still showing up?
Huh?
When she was still showing up.
I know. God, it's so sad. It's so sad to see it. I remember I used to be like, oh my God, she's from Orange, New Jersey. That's not that far from us. Can we go? Oh my God, I loved her. I had a big poster of her on my room. I had a Lauryn Hill t-shirt. I had her album. I used to play it till he practically melted. And my dad, and God bless him, he's so good. He literally stood out in line for like hours and bought us the crappiest seats of all time, way up in the nosebleed. And it was like the greatest present of my life. And he let my older sister take me. And it was Outcast open when they were brand new. And nice. I remember, like, as a kid, when I heard there was that whole rumor, and I don't know if it's true, I still to this day, I've never even looked into it, when she was like, I would rather my kids starve to death than a white woman or a white person buy my album. And I was like, what? But I just like, I don't know. But I felt like even then I don't know. I just remember I was like, I don't care. Like, I love her too much. Like, she shaped me too much. And I understand how much hurt people will hurt people, and hurt people will say hurtful things, but we've got to stop. We got to stop re-perpetuating this stuff.
Thank you. You gotta just make a choice to choose a better direction. How just to share a little bit, I had a brief stint in singing in a metal band. We're not that great, but I did it.
I tried once. It was so bad.
I've been backstage because of an ex-boyfriend to every major show an artist you can think of. I've been around the metal scene for a very long time, and not once have I ever experienced blatant racism.
Right.
And were people maybe thinking things? Sure, maybe, of course,
right.
but not blatant racism. No, I felt some sexism, yes, but not blatant racism. And people, black people, oh my God, were they mean to you? Did they? I'm like, no, everybody was really cool.
Right.
Maybe just venture out a little bit. We're in America. We are blessed with having so much diversity, and y'all are not taking advantage of it because you're scared of each other.
Well, and that's the thing. And that's why I've always struggled, because my experiences with black people and black women and black communities in real life has always been so vastly different than how I've been treated in black spaces online. And it's like, and I guess I know it's the difference between, what someone will say to your face versus your back, but like, I've always been so just accepted and loved and had a space. And obviously, not everyone's gonna love you, not everyone's gonna like you, you know what I mean? But I always felt like, I don't know, I never came to the point where I kind of felt like that was also my community. And we talked about this before, when someone had said to me, like, stick to your own people, you'll find more peace. And I'm just like, well, what does that mean? Does that mean I have to dismantle my...
Ignorant thing I've ever heard. And if it's coming from a black person, this is what I have to say.
I think it was a white person. I think I have an idea. I think so. I don't know.
Cool.
I don't know.
So go ahead and move to a country that's all white. I don't know what to tell you. America is what it is. We have to deal with each other, and we affect each other. So why not just try to do better? I mean, everybody seems to want, and I've been guilty of it myself. Okay, I'm not speaking from a place of being better. I'm still a work in progress.
Right.
I recently took on Christ. Okay, I am working on myself. Okay, but it's like, just to come at another human being off the bat with anger, hate, and suspicion, there's a deeper issue that needs to be worked out. And we can't snap our fingers and change it, because we talked about epigenetic trauma, generational trauma.
And that's real. And that's very real. And that's something I want white people to understand, is how real and actually scientific epigenetic and, trauma actually is. It's very real.
What you don't get to do, though, is use it as an excuse to be abusive.
Right.
That's what you don't get to do.
Right.
You don't get to intentionally be abusive and say, well, it's because of my epigenetic trauma. No, that's not how we're doing this. We're going to use it to help heal, to create some empathy and some compassion and some compatibility here. Right. And that's another thing about white folks that always confuses me, though. Y'all have your own history of slavery and genocide in Europe before y'all even left. And I know very few white people that touch upon that and look at how, you've got like the Slavs and
I'm Slavic. I'm Slavic. I was explaining that to my son. I said something. I was like, and we're Slavic. He's like, oh, we're Slavic. I was like, yeah. I was like, Lithuania is a Slavic country. He's like, oh, and I was like, it's the root word of slaves. I was like, it was the largest group of chattel slavery. And he was like, oh, and that's what I said. And did you see under the one video, somebody was from UK was talking about here in Britain, we really work hard to educate about, slavery and, that time in history. I was like, well, hold on. Why is Britain sitting here? And he's like, oh, we have, we teach it in school, which is understandable, but we also have holidays and, basically do all this time to focus on trying to and I'm like, why are you centering this piece of American history when y'all have your own shit going on?
What I understand about the white collective is that, you guys have your own battles. Everybody focuses on black versus white and how, the Europeans went to Africa and South America, blah, blah, blah. You guys, I rarely hear y'all talk about what happened in your own country.
That's why I think it's so skeptical. And that's why I don't understand when people get upset, because I'm thinking there's got to be something. And this is what I think. I think keeping Black Americans in a state of hypervigilance, hyper-awareness. That's why I got dragged one time for talking about microaggressions. How toxic it is for somebody to get the, if I were my daughter, for example, and this is just, I bring her up because she's my child. She's a piece of me. She's going to have a different experience than me. You know, I have to be aware of these things. People are like, oh, you use your child as, no, this is just, I have to have an awareness of this stuff for her, for women, because I'm a human being, period. But, you know, I don't want her to constantly look around at people and be like, oh, I wonder if she's not liking me because of my this. Or, oh, when she said that, but did she really mean? That keeps people in this heightened state of hyper alert, hyper vigilance, and it corrodes, it hurts you. It's not, it's damaging. It's damaging all around. And who benefits from that?
I agree. As somebody who comes from a very racially obsessed family, I agree. I want to kind of use a parallel with this. I have the CPTSD diagnosis, so continuous post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
And a part of what I did to heal a big chunk of that were some therapeutic modalities. And what they did was they had me look back at, you know, why I'm always anxious, why I feel the need to do the things that I did to try to self-soothe my nervous system. And I go back and it's because my family did things like this. They're not going to like you because you're black. Right. They're not going to like you because of your complexion. You're not quite this. You're not that. Be careful for those people. Look out for that. Look out for this. And I'm like,
right.
You know, there's other things that contribute to it too, but it kind of set the groundwork.
That's traumatic. That's trauma. That's exactly. Hard.
Black people are traumatized. Big fucking
yes.
Death. And it's so disheartening because our ancestors who did suffer actual racism and oppression, they had to tell their children those things for survival.
Right.
I understand why we had to have those dialogues back then.
Right.
But things have changed, even though they're trying to bring it back. Things have changed, and the dialogue has not. So
right.
You have young people like, let's say someone like Lizzo, for example.
Oh, God.
At one of her awards
she annoys me. I'm sorry. She annoys me so much. She annoys me so much.
I'm not a fan at all. I'm going to try to keep it nice, but I'm not a fan. She's sitting there talking about, I never saw, you know, black people on TV, so I didn't know I could be famous. What is she, about 30 years old?
Yeah, bro, what? Come on.
Black people on TV. What do you mean?
But then again, that gives her a special... because everybody wants that kind of come up story, like, wow, I made it against the odds. That's so marketable. That's so you know.
I mean, I'm older than her. Okay, I'm 42 years old, and I remember seeing the Cosbys, the Jeffersons,
right,
Good Times,
right.
Living Single, Girlfriends, Tyra
Family
Banks,
Matters. That was my jam.
Come on now. What do you mean you never see anybody that looks like you?
On.
So it's this being in love with suffering and victimhood. And this is exactly why the Democrats win the black vote.
Thank you. This is why they got mad at me. This is why everybody was saying that I'm racist. I said, don't you realize Democrats...
Just the truth teller, and people don't like to hear certain things, so they attack you.
Yeah, like it is so easy to be seen as, like, you know, good or whatever, and to just stay neutral. And I know what all the talk. Listen, if I just wanted to come on here, I know all the talking points to sit there and get everyone to be like, oh wow, Brit's like a, you know, a real good ally and all that sort of stuff. But I'm not gonna parrot stuff that I know is hurting people. I'm not going to
that's not doing the work. That's not facing the shadow. Yeah. I don't want to hear any more about victimhood unless it's in a constructive context. Are we going to pull from that to help you heal, to help you keep going, to help you get better? But just the trauma porn and the trauma bonding that white women try to do with me constantly about being black, it's enough already.
Right.
And I put a hand up to stop. I know what you're doing. You're trying to trigger me. Because black people allow themselves to get triggered all the time. You want to get a black person triggered, just start talking anything about race, and they're gonna go from 0 to 10.
Victory Phoenix just said that's why when rappers no one has ever heard of dies, it's all over the news. It really is. It's really just trying to trigger this pain response, and again, it gets everybody up in arms because someone else has said that this is all algorithmic programming. And this is so important to understand. The most, you know, neutral stories are not going to get people all clicking and talking and going back and forth. The more that they can incite you to argue, think about how quickly a thread can go from 0 to 1,000 comments if everybody's arguing and people are typing real fast and clicking send and typing real fast and going at each other back and forth, back and forth. Your algorithm is going crazy because now you're all fighting.
They've been using forever. Like, I think around the same time George Floyd was killed, so was Tony Temple, a white man in Dallas. He was killed pretty much in the same way. Nobody spoke about it because nobody cares when white dudes get killed by cops. Right. White people don't even seem to care.
Right.
So I don't see y'all marching the streets when on y'all gets
right. I almost think it's so offensive to, again, and it's like, it really is. It's like the bigotry of low expectations. And this is why I got, man, this is what I was trying to talk about too. It's like, you know, all these white people that are sitting there marching, you know, you're marching for these black men, and some of these black men who are terrorizing their own communities.
That are liberal enable black pathology
yeah.
because it makes them feel good, and it continues this whole hierarchy thing. Do you know who Eric July is?
No. Wait, that sounds familiar.
He's a black man. He's like a I think he says he's an anarcho-capitalist libertarian YouTuber. He's a rapper.
Let me look it up. That sounds really familiar.
He was tired of how all the comic books are becoming woke. And so what he did
yes.
Yeah, so he constructed his own comic line called the Rippaverse. The main character is a black guy. It's never mentioned. It's just like he's doing his superhero thing in his superhero world.
Yes.
Well, he put his own money into it. I think he put like $100,000, and he's made several $1 million back.
Good.
You know that there are white liberals calling him an Uncle Tom,
bro,
a coon, all these names because you're black. You're supposed to.
Don't get me started on watching white liberals tell black people, yo, what the fuck you talking about, yo? But on both sides. I get mad at black people doing it to each other too, where they're like, oh yeah, you know, all skin folk and king folk, and just because somebody had a different, because someone challenged you. Stop it, yo. Stop it.
But the arrogance to sit there and tell a black man married to a black woman who put his own black money into his black ass comic book is somehow a race traitor.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
You know, so anytime a black person kind of jumps out of the box of what white people think black people should be,
right,
there's an issue, and it fucks with their sensibilities, and you can see it.
It's almost like they see it. The worst thing in the world for you to say is that black people are not weak and helpless and just perpetual victims. Like, it's so weird to me. It's like, no, I'm no. I mean, we've seen the level of resilience.
Candace Owens gets, for example. You know, all the hate that Candace Owens gets.
Yeah. And look, she has some takes that are a little but still, I can't imagine, especially her, she just had a baby, and actually I wanted to do a stream about her. The stuff that she goes up against and just is unreal. And she keeps going.
Perfect, okay? There's one or two things I've heard her saying, like, Candace, not really feeling that, but overall I like her, and I think she's necessary in a world of Kim Kardashians and Cardi B's and Megan Thee Stallions. I don't care if I don't agree with Candace every freaking time.
No, we don't need to, and that's the beauty of it. And that's what I wish we could do. Again, it's this polarizing where it's, you know, it's like we're also borderline about stuff. We either love it and it's the best and it's great,
either a saint or a sinner,
or it's horrible and it's.
We don't look at people as complex beings.
Yes.
We just say, you said that, I don't like you, you're my enemy, you're a Nazi, you're a devil, you're a fascist, I hate you. Right. It's so extremist.
Right.
And, you know, I've had it. I don't want to even speak with those people anymore because they get my blood pressure up, and they're an actual attack to what I'm trying to accomplish here.
Well, and the problem is too, and I just kind of saw it in the chat before where somebody, and rightfully so, was like, I'm so tired. I feel like, you know, as black women, we're always having to teach people. Of course, that's fucking exhausting, you know, and I think it's also exhausting, you know, when white women feel like they're walking on eggshells. Black women need to release themselves of the duty to teach and to educate and release it, and also, but that comes with that releasing control over how people, their process of learning and experiencing and the conclusions that they come to, you know. And white people need to be okay engaging with these things, experiencing them, and maybe tripping and falling, or maybe taking a take that was a little bit off and allowing time to develop and learn. You know,
the only problem is that now you got people who want to fire you and dock you if you say something they don't like, and that is the one thing that I do empathize with white people about. But as far as in with Black women, you know, if we became women-centered, imagine the beautiful changes that would happen.
And that's the ultimate thing. And that's the ultimate point that I really want to take away from this. And that's what, you know, Jaden and I talked about before we got on the stream, that it's like, listen, we're going to make mistakes with each other. I will, till the day I die, if I live for the next 100 years, I'm never going to fully understand what it is to be a Black woman in America. I can live with Black women for the rest of my life. I can talk to them every single day. I can be with them. I will never fully get it. And vice versa is true. We need to be okay with just, it's okay. We can continue to learn. And at the end of the day, if we reorganize our priorities and we put our womanhood first and we can work with that, then all the other housekeeping issues we can continue to work on. We can continue to grow. We can continue. But as long as we see that no matter what, we're always going to fight for each other. We're always going to fight to be better. It's like a marriage that is going to fight for each other. We're going to fight to love each other. We're going to fight to know each other. We're going to fight to be better for each other. We're going to fight to do better. And we're going to fuck up one day and we're going to get up the next day and keep fighting because it's worth it.
It's not just worth it. And I agree with everything you said. It's absolutely necessary.
It's necessary. We can't afford this anymore. No. You know, we can't. Like I said, it was a Black woman who helped pull me out of a situation that was going to kill me. That was going to kill me. And if I didn't have her, and thank God I refused to, you know, he isolated me from so many people in my life, and luckily him and her husband got along, so he kind of let her stay in my life. Thank God she was my lifeline. I mean, she saved my life. And if I didn't have that, and if I didn't have access to that, I mean, we need each other. Just think, and again, I said it's like being a good friend or a good sister to somebody who knows in a difficult situation. You refuse to leave as much as they want to push you out until you don't, you know, because they don't want you to see maybe the more difficult things that are going on. But that is a protective factor. We've got to allow each other in so that we can see the bad stuff that's happening and protect each other from it. Women are each other's best protectors, and I stand by that.
It's absolutely correct. And do you remember Jane Elliott, the brown eyes, blue eyes, or blue eyes, brown eyes experiment?
No, maybe.
Okay.
Remind me.
You're probably about 10 years younger than me, so maybe it wasn't big when you were coming up. Mm-hmm. I'll send you a link when we're done, but basically it's a white lady, and she was, I think, like a psychologist or a sociologist, and she would go into schools and she would divide the kids between blue eyes and brown eyes. And she would talk to the blue-eyed kids in ways that mimic racism and discrimination, and then she would do the opposite with the brown-eyed kids.
It's like the Stanford prison experiment.
Yeah, I think
similar.
I think so. I think it's similar to that.
I think it's like a similar mechanism where you pedestalize one group and you treat the other group as like they're not to be, you know, as if they're guilty of something, that they're wrong, and you give one group power over the other, social power, whatever, and they start to manifest that role.
And it's just like the other thing we spoke about too, with the privilege exercise, where you have all these kids stand in a row and you list off certain things. And if you had those benefits, you move to the front. If you didn't, you move to the back. And I think these experiments are very detrimental, because what it does is it creates this resentment within the children who are the participants. Right. Children who are not even sweating race to begin with. They were thinking about playing with their toys.
Oh, I think it's totally unethical. I think it is totally unethical.
And what's happening in the country now? I think, you know, for a while during the 80s and 90s, we were okay with each other for the most part. Listen, you're never going to eradicate racism. Right. Racism is a very primal thing.
Yes.
That came from our reptilian brain. Yes. From, you know, I got to save my resources. I smell your pheromones and I don't want you stealing my food. Okay,
right.
Fine.
I need to make a quick judgment.
Circumstances to bring us back to that reptilian mind. Stop it. Work on healing yourself so you cannot be susceptible to this bullcrap.
Right. And I've always said there's a difference between prejudice and bigotry. Yeah. Prejudice is an important adaptation of survival and something that we need. We need to be able to prejudge somebody. We need to... right, as a women, exactly. We need to be able to look at somebody and have enough schemas that we can make some fast conclusions, whether or not we need to fight or flight, or we can sit and engage with this person. Oh, TPS, thank you. TPS gave $5, said woke, listen to people of color, also woke. People of color shouldn't have to teach you. Ask your woke white friend what to do. Yeah, and that is all of it's just a difficult... there wouldn't be a need to teach people. And again, my experience with Black people and Black women is just by being with Black women.
I was just going to say it. Let's make a freaking friend of a different color, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
Start there. Relationships are the only way you're going to... Listen, if some stranger comes up to me on the street and starts apologizing, because I've had similar things happen, okay? It sounds so ridiculous, but starts apologizing to me about slavery, starts asking me about police brutality, starts trying to play with my hair, I'm not going to respond very well to that.
Right.
But if, let's say, we're at the same concert, or, you know, maybe you take a cooking class, maybe you're in a university, whatever setting, maybe your church, I don't know, whatever you do, just get to know somebody of a different color.
Change and the way that we, you know, relate to each other changes. But Jade, I'm not going to steal too much of your time. Thank you so much. Let's stay in touch. And everybody else, like I said, chat like she just said. Any other questions that you have, give us stuff to meditate on, you know, and we can keep coming back and doing this. And I'm going to turn off the stream, and then I'm going to open it back up in case anybody wanted to come on and give a few other comments or whatever. I just don't want the stream to go too long. But Jade, thank you so much. Like, that was just emotional for me. That was really, really, like, healing, and I really appreciate you. Thank you. Uh-oh, what happened? I hope it's not frozen. All right, guys. Well, I think I am frozen. Let me see. Let me check on it. Yeah. Oh yeah. Can she hear me? Yeah, okay. All right. Oh, I love you guys. I think it's. I hope it's not frozen for too long. I don't know where it froze. Love you guys. I'm gonna stop streaming. Oh, okay. Okay, let's see. Yeah, TPS says make a friend. All right, guys. So, oh, it's frozen. Damn it. It froze. Oh, shit. Sorry about that, guys. Can you hear me now? So basically what I was saying was, so I'm letting Jade go. She has to go to work. But what I wanted to say was, we had spoken, and Jade is going to work on building her own platform, which I love and I'm so grateful for. You know, the more women, I do not in any way whatsoever feel like I don't feel competitive with women who want to start platforms. On the contrary, the more women who start platforms and do this work is more women I can collaborate with and we can build. I mean, there's so much to go around. So I really hope that you do that, Jade. I would love that. I would love to have like a sister channel where we can keep, you know, getting into different things and supporting each other, and I would love it. And if she does do that, obviously I'll make sure that you guys know and can stay in tune with it. And until then, we're hopefully gonna, you know, keep doing this, and like I said, you know, this kind of gave us like a grounding point so we know where to go with the conversation. And the more that you guys contribute, the better it's going to be, you know? And like I said, all I ask is just come in good faith, and try to challenge yourself, you know? And if you feel yourself getting triggered, take a step back and ask yourself why on both sides. And at the end of the day, you know, this is a space where we are female identified and we are a woman centered first and foremost. You know, a lot of people may reject that and feel that their other identities are more important, and that's fair and that's fine. But this is a space where we're female identified, we're woman centered first and foremost, you know, and we're not, I think we need to work together to not jeopardize that. And that, like I said, that goes for all sides, you know. Yeah, so I love you guys. I'm going to end the stream and then I'm going to restart it again, and I'm going to open it up in case anybody wants to call in.